distinguished guests from Poland and my dear colleagues from our Systems Innovation Lab on a Sustainable Energy Future. We have the pleasure of meeting for this evening discussion in a context. The evening discussion is on the Polish energy future and Europe, and we're looking at economic, social and environmental challenges. We is a group in the room and some guests from Warsaw, and we in the group is what we call a Systems Innovation Lab, a group of people who have been working together for now about half a year on a sustainable energy future, a group of people from 10 different countries in Europe who applied on a public call to apply for this kind of a learning journey and a joint exercise to look more deeply into the energy future. The hosts of this exercise are the Wuppertal Institute, which my colleague Maja Göpel is representing. She, in her professional life, runs the Berlin office of the Wuppertal Institute, and myself from the Center for Social Investment of Heidelberg University. And we happen to have the good coincidence of sharing office space in Berlin on the same floor in the same building, in which we find a whole group of civil society organizations, academic institutions, foundations, which all share a concern for a sustainable future of living together in our societies, in very different regards and with very different core interests, but with a general agenda shared in the building. And this has led to conversations from which we ultimately developed this project. A project which has been funded by the Foundation for German-Polish Cooperation. Cornelius Ochmann, the managing director, will say a few words of introduction and welcome in a moment, and the German Federal Environmental Foundation. Now, you may assume that if two German hosts are inviting a conversation on a sustainable energy future, that there might be an agenda around the Energiewende, as the German word calls it, and I will assure you that this is not our first interest. Our first interest is to have conversations among Europeans who share a lot of experience, but who also have different experience, and to have different traditions, different backgrounds, different economic structures, different political situations, and therefore will find different solutions to a shared future in Europe. And I think I couldn't express this better than by sharing a little anecdote with you, which I had in a conversation with an old friend of mine from university days who now runs the office of the British Deputy Prime Minister. And when we talked about energy, this friend of mine said, listen, if we wanted to apply your German experience to our British situation, we would be in a fundamentally different situation. If we just assured that 3 critical criteria were important: international competitiveness, network security, and social justice. If we adopted your German strategy, the result would be a disaster. The result would be that we were funding the British elites, primarily the big land-owning elites, by subsidies to become even richer, and we would most likely immediately lose the next election in the cities of Britain. So we have to find different patterns. This little anecdote reminded me of the fact that this will probably apply for all of the conversations, but both our colleagues at the Wuppertal Institute and us at the Center for Social Investment, we had the impression that it was important and necessary to create a space for communication and to create a conversation around this different level of experience, and that in this context it was particularly important that the neighbors in Central Europe and in the middle of Europe, that Poland, France and Britain and Germany would be part of the conversation. And therefore we are delighted that, first of all, the Foundation from Poland has accepted co-funding the project, but also that among our group from 10 different countries, we have this broad picture of European experience. I look forward to today's panel discussion, and I pass the floor for a short word of welcome and introduction to Cornelius Ochmann. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Volker, for these nice words, and I would like to welcome you here on behalf of the Foundation for German-Polish Cooperation. Volker just explained the approach of the project, so I could add only from my side that it's a really good time to discuss this question. This morning I have heard in the Polish radio the discussion about Polish energy future in the newspaper Rzeczpospolita. There is an article in the other newspapers. So I'm really interested in the outcome of the discussion. And as Volker said, we are looking for European solutions, and I am very happy that you decided to come here to Warsaw to discuss these questions. And it's a good approach for our foundation to give a German-Polish impact into the European discussion. So I'm really happy to have you here and give over to you to start the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation, also hosting us here the whole 5 days even that we're in Warsaw together. And thank you very much for helping bring around all these wonderful experts that we have to our availability now to question and answer in order to be able to understand more deeply the Polish experience of dealing with energy futures and where the differences lie in challenges, in ideas, in visions, and what a European way forward could look like. All of our participants have had an overview with very impressive bios. I will just briefly introduce who's sitting up here with me along the lineup that you have on your advertisement of the event tonight. To my right, there's Dr. Andrzej Kassenberg. He is the co-founder of the Institute for Sustainable Development that some of us were lucky enough to visit this afternoon as well to get an idea about their work. And he's also been the co-founder of the Polish Energy Efficiency Foundation and is combining geography and technical sciences in his background and has been in different sectors as well. So NGO sectors, including the Polish Ecological Club, but also in loads of scientific activities for which he's lectured at many Polish and American universities, and was also within government, serving at the Ministry of Environment in Poland
I was not employed by the government, I only as a volunteer to chair this National Council of Environmental Impact Assessment. I never been for government.
Great. Okay. No, he was never employed but was serving the government in his advising role to be more conscientious and more aware about the good way forward on environmental policy and the social aspects of this as well. So very warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for being here with us. To my left, I've got Andrzej Bartosik. Is that right pronunciation? Bartosik or Bartosik? Yeah? Bartosik. Oh, almost. He works for the Polski... Oh, no.
Polish TSO.
PSE. PSA. Okay. But how do you say that perfectly in Polish? So just that I know.
Polskie sieci elektroenergetyczne.
Polskie sieci elektroenergetyczne. Almost. As the Deputy Director of Transmissions and Services Department. So he will share with us the point of view of an economist, trained economist, and long-term service provider to that institution. So he knows everything about the transmission challenges that especially Poland is facing, and will be able to tell us the differences that some countries have in how they are managing supply and demand and what it takes there. And some of us were very, very fortunate to be sitting in front of gigantic computer screens, I understand, to see where people are checking what is necessary right now and where they can get it from, and how that is conforming with existing contracts of supply and demand, and of course economic compensation for providing that. Thank you very much for being here with us today. On my far right, I've got Michał Wyszyński, Dr. Michał Wyszyński. He's a geologist and expert for energy resources, and now says he's a freelancer, but that's after a ride through several institutions, I would say. And he's also been as well in the field of oil and gas exploration, particularly in Algeria, but also very much immersed in the renewable energy perspectives and potentials. And I think this is a very interesting match for us to be able to understand the challenges out of both of those sectors. He's been Under Secretary of State in the Ministry of the Environment as well, and has been a lot involved in the planning of the Polish oil and gas company and Polish coal mining industry. And we heard today that in 1998 already there were quite interesting initiatives about how to deal with mining and the future of mining and what came after that.
Now I am appointed as an expert to the European Economic and Social Committee in the part of the fuel, the coal, lignite and the gas.
Brilliant.
Energy and gas, natural gas.
Okay. I told you I was quite impressed by the amount of or knowledge that we are combining up here. And last but not least, to my far left, we have Alexander Spohr, from the Institute of Structural Research, analyst for climate and energy innovation. So being that climate picture in there and innovation in particular. He's worked a lot with non-governmental sector and also in support of local democracy, which is probably an interesting perspective as we heard a lot about the potentials on local initiatives in Poland today, but also with the Center for International Relations, so spanning the multi-level governance perspective for us, which I think is a great addition. And he's also been working with the National Bank of Poland, Chancellery of the same, and Chancellery of the Prime Minister, so has been within the government institutions as well. Thank you very much for being here today. In terms of the lineup, we've had a small little spontaneous adjustment because of the request of two speakers to be allowed to show a few graphs that would make it easier to bring a certain amount of data, I guess, and messages across. So we will have first a presentation from Mr. Wyszynski. Brief one, we asked for very brief ones.
Yeah.
And then we will have a bit of a different point of view from Mr. Patorczyk after that. And then we will give a longer slot of time for both of our panelists here to be kicking us off in the discussion and the commenting of what might be different viewpoints on what's at stake. Thank you very much. If I just pass over.
Very briefly. So, as a geologist, I am looking on the base for strategy, energy strategy for my country, because the right estimation of the reserves of the coal, lignite, gas, and oil, this is the basement. And in my country, as you know, Poland has a problem with the coal. Hard coal, because 84% of the energy is produced from the lignite and hard coal. So, and I would like to show you the analysis of the Warsaw Institute for Economic Studies 2015. Absolutely, I am fully agreed as a geologist, because some politician in my country presented such an opinion that we have a coal for 100 years or something like that. But the problem is about what type of the reserves or resources we talked. And I am absolutely fully agree with this situation. This is the base for the energy strategy for Poland up to 2050. Even if we have high prices of the coal on the international market, the pointer, yeah, okay. This green line, high prices. But my last report in the end of the 2015, I have estimated that during a long time, these low prices for a hard coal will be prolongated. The next. So this is very important because it was elaborated by a Polish to the Polish energy strategy version 2015. That here we have capacity, the power, the new installation in a coal-fired electropower stations. So, but hard coal demand calculated by me and the situation with the Polish coal mine sector, it show in this red line that the import of the coal will increase very quickly. Why? Because the new capacity in electropower station will be, efficiency 45 up to 48, for example, in the new. The consumption of the hard coal, of course, it will be less and less. The situation with the lignite in Poland. I guess that we have a very similar situation with the lignite in Germany, the biggest producer of the lignite in the world, and at the moment, consumer. But in Poland, we have the situation that despite two mines, Bełchatów and Turów, the others will finish the reserves of the lignite. And it was calculated that the capacity of the electropower station decrease and lignite demand rapidly decrease also. So I have worked and I prepared the publication. What is the alternative, the real cost of the transformation? I would like to turn your attention into, for example, the discussion. Now, I have participated in a session of the Energy Commission in our parliament 10 days ago. And it is very strange that the politicians compare, for example, the old capacity, the old amortized capacity in the old-fashioned power stations with the new planned capacity. I have calculated new photovoltaic, wind, gas, lignite, coal, and absolutely it is necessary to include capital cost, capex, operation cost, fuel cost, and I have taken very conservative cost of the emission of the CO2. Only 15 euro per ton of the emission. I know that the many Polish power station, but probably, very probably, this emission cost will be much more higher in the future. And if you look on the situation, for example, lignite and coal, this is the cost of the emission of the CO2. For example, one corporation, Polish corporation called ZEPAK, in the past year they have paid 350 million Polish zloty for emission of the 9 million ton of the CO2. So, and they have a real big problem. I am really disappointed that we still talk in Poland about the nuclear power station. Look on the cost per megawatt hour. It's close to the 700 Polish zloty, including, of course, the cost of the capital, operation cost, etc., etc. So, I would like to show you very, very briefly the situation in Upper Silesia. For example, during the year is transported to dam 20 million tons of wastes from the coal mines. And dumps of Upper Silesia contains 500 million tons. So if we look on the problem with the mineralized water pumped from the coal mines to the river system in Poland, with the radioactive elements, this is absolutely a shame. Okay, and the problem and the discussion now, Polish energy sector, now we are on the virage, in my opinion, because we have to decide a long-term strategy, not for cadency of the parliament, 4 years, but for maybe 40, minimum 40 years. So if we include the external costs, now, for example, the university in Poznań, they have prepared a methodology of calculation of the losses in the agriculture sector caused the lignite exploitation in many places in this region, Wielkopolska. And the value of the lignite deposits are twice, the value is twice lower than the losses in agriculture sector. Thank you.
Thank you for a first dive into, especially the cost of transformation, and I think we all resonate with the idea of what's the longer-term point of view, especially from the scientific perspective. And I think it's important that you show the different costs that might be of relevance beyond pure market prices of what we're talking about right now. Nuclear, we heard today that it was headlines, and Julio showed us some figures about the necessity to really go into the refurbishment of the infrastructure to provide the energy and to distribute the energy. So it seems like nuclear would be a bit late for what was around 2020, 2021 till 2028, where a lot of the reinstallment of infrastructure might be necessary. But first we will hear about this infrastructure and what do we have and what are the challenges from that point of view to make sure that the transformation can actually happen from a technological point of view and from energy security point of view.
Okay, thank you very much. I totally agree that we are on the rush right now in Poland, and as regards Polish energy mix for the future, and we have to decide right now what to do further. I'll try to show you some aspects of functioning of electricity system and all the issues which needs to be taken into account, because finally it is TSO who runs the system. Finally it is TSO who takes into consideration and has to manage all the issues, all the climate issues, all the policy issues, all the operation of renewables or nuclear power plants, etc. So, okay, that's fine. Just I have many slides, but it is what is TSO, what is Poland. Polish TSO is just a state-owned company which totally independent. But I will have to do it very quickly. I will try to highlight the main issues. Key figures of the Polish power system. Just to introduce you, I don't know if you are familiar with Poland. So installed capacity 40.4 gigawatts. Peak demand is 25.8. So we have some surplus as regards installed capacity. Peak summer. It is different peaks. Different peaks in summer and in winter. It's about 3,000 megawatts. Electricity production. It is gross production 162 terawatt hours. Consumption is similar. So somehow we, as you see here, it is commercial flows. It is data from 2015. We have a bit. We are a bit importing country right now. Poland is a little bit importing country. It is 1,3 terawatt hour, it is not significant figure in comparison to production or national consumption. But one thing I would like to point here is, see here, net figure between export and import is import 1,3 terawatt hour. But see actual flows. Actual flows are 15 terawatt hours. I will show you and come back to this figure later. It is unscheduled flow on the western border. It is a result from European market design right now and some problems we as a TSO have with let's say European market design and some figures of cross-border cooperation and also some energy policies of different countries, especially our neighbors in Germany. This is the structure, how it is. It was already mentioned. We have in hard coal, lignite. So it is about 85%. Some more installed capacity is in renewable, and the rest is in gas or hydro. It is minor production, minor installed capacity. It's a map with installed capacity. These are lignite. Here are hard coal. So it is most of capacity is located in south. As regards energy net generation details, so non-renewable, it is decreasing a little bit, but it's rather stable. It is increasing production, and it's in fact net generation here is, so as regards capacity, non-renewables are, let's say, decreasing installed capacity. Also, electricity production is a little decreasing from non-renewables. Installed capacity in renewables is increasing, especially in wind. In wind, in hydro, it's rather stable. Other renewables is also rather stable. So it's just to see what we are dealing with. We have quite many interconnections as Polish transmission system. We have interconnection with Lithuania. It is just new built. It was launched in December 2015. We have interconnection. It is, in fact, DC interconnection through back-to-back station. So the flows on this link are totally controlled. We have a DC connection with Sweden. We have connection with Germany to 4 lines. We have connections with Czech Republic. We have connection with Slovakia. And with Ukraine, this line is out of operation. This line of Belarus is out of operation with just one radial line with Ukraine. So generally, we are connected here. It is synchronous profile, and these are not synchronous profile. For those who do not have details, flows here are totally controllable by TSOs, and flows here are, let's say, non-controllable, we say. And here it is good to discuss it here, because I think last Friday we published as TSOs some adequacy report on future energy mix and adequacy in Poland. And I will show you on the next slide the result. But generally, we have increase in consumption, and there are significant withdrawals of power plants in lignite and hard coal. And there are 2 scenarios, because as you know, probably there are such environmental standards, European environmental standards, BAT, and according to one scenario, which the production unit will not modernize their production unit and just have to withdraw, the scenario for withdrawal is 20,3 gigawatt up to 2035. It is significant amount of production capacity, which will result in adequacy problems. I will show you the next slide. And in the scenario when the production unit will modernize their production and adjust them to environmental standards, the figure of withdrawals is a bit lower. So right now under construction is 5.8 gigawatt units, and one nuclear power plant is considered, but it should be noted that there are no final decision taken on that. In Poland, there is no nuclear power plant right now. And what it is, let's say, these are the results. As you see, for the scenario modernization of BAT, so the less restrictive is since 2022, there might be some problems with adequacy. Here is a horror, in fact. So the problems begin here in Poland, might begin here if nothing new is built. And here, this lines, it is amount, it's 2035, you see, is 13,000 or 14,000 even of missing capacity as regards adequacy if nothing new is built. It's just skip it. It's the same. It's a similar graph, but for scenario with withdrawals of BAT. So production units do not adjust their facilities and just they take a decision. The market conditions are, let's say, so bad that it is not profitable for owners of a production unit, and just withdraw them. They do not care if there is there will be power in the system. They just take business decision. It's not my problem. It's a problem then on let's say society and a TSO who will not be able to might not be able to balance the system. Okay, and so it's a nice graph. Just one thing I want to show. I already mentioned about the difference about because one important thing is from the different market structure in Europe. Right now, there are TSOs has some challenges with dealing with energy flows because, as you know, energy cannot be stored in large amounts. Energy, so on real time, consumption must equal to somehow production on a given area. And here we have, it was the worst, very bad day on September 15th, 2015, when a scheduled import, so commercial import to Poland from January was 0, and the actual flow was over 3,000 megawatts. So this flow, in fact, was not planned by Poland, by Polish market players, but is what it resulted from commercial exchanges concluded in other commercial bidding areas outside Poland. I don't know, in Germany, Austria. And so here was 0 commercially. It is unscheduled flow, it's a big difference. We have to, as TSO, tackle with that. It was very significant threat of system security. If there is a, let's say, danger, if we could not manage it, there could be blackout in whole Europe. Just to mention, and it was very significant. And what was here, just to mention, on Germany, Austria, there was commercial flow was 7,000, and physical flow was 2,5. So the rest was flowing like that. It is unscheduled flows which actually flow in Europe from Germany north to, let's say, south and through Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia. It is an issue, a big issue, and it causes actual problems. Not to mention like that, we have to, what we have to do? We have to tackle this as a TSOs. We have to ask other power producers, both in, let's say, in other countries. First, what we do, we have to increase generation here to minimize these flows, to minimize it, and to start up production here and decrease production here. But on this date, it was not possible. Only in those 2 countries, we had to ask in the whole Europe, let you help us, because there was significant threat. It is a day-to-day operational practice, and it causes a lot. It causes a lot. The costs have to be borne by TSOs. So it is, let's say, it's not that simple that some sources produce, some market players just inject the electricity into the grid. And here we have real problems as TSOs. And we have costs. The costs are significant. Here are the volumes of so-called redispatch measures. It is a non-market transactions we as TSO have to do to correct the market. It's an issue which has to be tackled in the future. What is here is in the past years it was not so obvious. The redispatch measures taken by TSOs were small, or there were none of them in 2007, 2011. Right now it appeared, 2012, in 2014 significant ones, and right now we have to, every day we have to, as TSOs, have to change the market results, in fact, to do the cross-border dispatching. It's So increase generation in Poland, decrease in Germany, and pay producers here and take the costs. The costs have to be taken by mostly by, of course, by Polish and German TSOs. And just to remind that most of them, there is commercial import or on towards Poland, and still there are significant flows. And so due to the fact that electricity is not controllable, and it is due to transaction outside Poland. 2 more minutes, or just one? Okay. -2. What is okay? Just to maybe it's the main reason. So we have in Poland adequacy problems. You might right now there are significant problems with operational issues with handling of unscheduled flows. As you know, we had on the 10th of August last year in Poland, we have to somehow reduce consumption in final customers because of some adequacy problems in Poland. So we as TSO are independent TSO. We just run the system, and we cannot influence power plants because we do not control them. And even in that situation, we could not, so scarcity in Poland on the 10th, due to high unscheduled flows on the western profiles, and the lines were totally congested, we could not import any single megawatt from Germany then. So it is just to mention the European context and some flows in market design right now, which has to be considered when we are talking about energy reforms and all the European markets. So I have many more slides, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure we can pick up on a few things in the discussion round now. And I would like to give the floor to our 2 other speakers first to maybe comment on things that they've picked up now that they find relevant, and also to elaborate on their points of view on what are. I think the agreement is, yes, a lot of things need to be discussed, agreed, and put into action the next period of time, very short time, in order to plan for the long term. So, Mr. Kassenberg, if you would like to elaborate on your point of view.
First of all, thank you for invitation. What Michał presented, I know very well, but yours very interesting, very detailed. But I want to make a more general picture because I think it's necessary to start, and I have 4 points. I want to start that Poland, from the energy point of view, is in the political trap. Yeah. Because we are the situation that I think from the year 2002, all the governments have a problem to solve this issue because they're afraid they are losing the votes. Now we have almost 100,000 people working in the mines. It's a lot of people who are working in the surrounding businesses, and we have the big power stations. All of this is, a lot of votes that it's necessary to take into account seriously, and nobody is from the leading politician, brave to make a breakthrough and to start to talk with these people honestly. The people, especially the miners, are cheating. Cheating by the politicians and by some experts and by the trade unions, for example, the biggest Polish mining company, this is 32,000 workers. You have the 160 trade unions. 160 trade unions. How you can manage with these trade unions? Because they fight one to another, who is going farther to make a pressure of the managers, of the politicians, and etc. That it's and each of this this political trap is not only related to this very difficult because it's a social problem, to close the mines. It's necessary to make a strategy how to do it. In year 2002, the government of Prime Minister Buzek, partly solved this problem because more than 100,000 people left the jobs without any strike. That was the really, big.
And
big.
23 mines were closed, finally.
That is first. This is political trap. The governments in each national energy policy, they are planned that will be the increasing of the using of the energy, but all of them are not very fit in this prognosis. We are overestimated the needs of the electricity and the heat. Second, we have two orphans. One orphan is the energy efficiency, because the energy efficiency have no political support. And it's not the people can be really interesting, but the people have very limited knowledge. The small and medium-sized company, they are thinking about the 1 or 2 years ahead. But if you have no any support from the government to solve this inefficient production, they are completely not care about this energy costs. That means we can make a completely different situation, because we can 25 to 30% energy we can save for free. Why for free? Because we spent a little for investment, but the payback will be easy very shortly from the saving. Another 20% is possible, technically possible, but it's necessary to make a much more support to do that. The second orphan, which is now in very strong debate, it is the renewables. Renewables is it's an interesting story. I will try to be too short, because when there was the former government, there was the strong pressure from the NGO, environmental NGO, some business people, some local governments, and they make a pressure on the one of the leading party. This was the PSL, and the party who is now leading, they make a strong decision, and they was against that was government presented, and in the new law was something like in Germany, there was fit and tariff. But when the PCs started to be in power, they changed the decision. And now we have a situation that is worse than was before. Especially that you said about these problems and with this, capacity of the power, and we have a, anti-wind turbine, bill in the parliament. But this can solve a little the problem. That is, these two orphans. Without this strong political pressure, I hope so the situation in renewables is better, but in energy efficiency is not so good. Third, I think we see generally, I think, in Poland, we see the climate policies against us. This is not a challenge. This is a threat, but it's a challenge. This is a real challenge, because it is the innovation. It is the chance of building the jobs locally when we go to the efficiency or we go to the renewables. We not see this. The many co-benefits. This is health issue. 45,000 people is dying earlier in Poland because of this, low stack emission. We have many like this. Co-benefits that we can take to account, and that there will be really a challenge for us. But the politician, maybe now it's a little change, but in the opposition. But when these people was in the power, they are not thinking about this as a challenge. They think it is a threat. And I tell you a slow story that Donald Tusk, who is now the president of the European Union, visited the Greenland. And just in this moment, that was the big piece of ice going down to the sea. And he said, my goodness, really, the climate is the issue. We need to send all of the people who have skeptics to the Greenland to show them that the climate issue is really the issue. And finally, I hope so that you have a lot of questions and I can, deliver something that is interesting to you. I think it's the different concept of energy security. Today, the energy security is the big power stations. But if you look for Germany, the energy security is building locally. It's building cooperatives, communes. We can say that the prosumers, you build the energy security individually, and you started to be responsible for energy for you. That means that government or the private company or the state company worry about that. That's a completely different situation. And the technology is going in these directions. You can now, from Poland, by internet, to buy the storage magazine of the electricity. You can do it from Germany. It's cost 25,000 euro, but it's the costs are going drastically down, like the cost of the energy efficiency. Like the cost of the photovoltaics and the wind turbine. In US, during the 5 years, the cost of the together capex and opex in the wind energy go down 54%, in the solar 78%. This is the future market. We are losing the opportunities of the future market to changing the security concept, going down, give something which can be slowly change this difficult situation that was presented by Mr. Bartosik. And these difficult days of the August last year, if we have a 300 megawatts in photovoltaics, there will be no problem. Only 300 megawatts in the photovoltaics. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very important two things I took out of that. One is the capacity management, at which level are we talking about? And also, of course, how sourced, and what does that mean for the investment in what kind of infrastructure to be updated or replaced? And we heard the potential for the local level, and maybe this is particularly a question for Mr. Spohr to elaborate on, the co-benefits or energy security concepts, the insights, the ideas and initiatives of people that may not be part of the coal mining unions, but are trying to do something else, or would you see that more skeptically?
I try to answer on your question a bit later. If I may just try to rephrase the summary that Andrzej made very well. It's just that I think we missed a few important points for the overview. As my previous assignment was the Chancellor of the Prime Minister, I was working more on a national level than local government, so that is my fresher, let's say, experience. But then I'll come back to your question. So first of all, I don't think if it was clear from previous presentations that we certainly face the very urgent challenge, and the transformation is going to happen in Poland either way. The question is that, and I think all of you would agree that about for instance, the danger of blackout we were speaking 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and it was already a discussion titled "We need to do something now," and so far we didn't solve the problem. So the question is how long we are going to run on that question. So my assumption is that the government see the transformation not a revolution as a revolution, it sees as evolution, and the main document that is going to be published hopefully shortly, it's supposed to be published last year, it's the energy policy for Poland 2050. And this is one important thing that is going to happen again, hopefully shortly. Then it will probably say something more about the energy mix, which is probably another challenge for Poland to fix the energy challenge. And now I'm just rephrasing what was said previously. I just want to add that as we were speaking more about the electricity and coal mining sector, lignite, and renewables as well. We didn't pay much attention to gas, which is also important, especially in the future, especially that it is the sole source of energy that is going to rise in the time frame 2050. This is extremely important when we speak in this framework of German, European, Polish discussion, and probably it is important to know that this gas issue was major concern in Polish-German relations, and it is still. I won't talk about the loop flows or this, because this is kind of, as I understand, this is pretty much solved problem this year, or it's going to be solved this year, at least in some part. However, the gas issues is still going on. The question of Nord Stream 2 and the role of gas for Germany, for Europe, for Poland. What is also important, and it wasn't mentioned so far, that the new government launched a new initiative on expanding the capacity of Polish energy system to absorb much larger amounts of gas than it was done previously. I don't know how much familiar you are with those plans. We can come back to that maybe later. I don't want to, but overall new capacity would be around 35 billion cubic meters. As for now, it is 15, but 10 imported. So 5 we produce on our own. So the capacities would be enlarged by the new pipe going from Norway through Denmark to Poland, and it would be like around 20 billion cubic meters. Then another 5 added to the new gasoport that is already supposed to receive this month first commercial flows of gas. And then there are several new projects similar to the Baltic countries. I don't know how you call it. It's like Boya, this onshore pipes transmitting gas from water to the land. And so the gas is a very important thing. Now, as I look back to, again, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we were thinking, I was working at the time for the Chancellor of the Prime Minister, and we were thinking about the paradigm shift from the energy security understood as hard security, so the channels of import, etc., and going towards the understanding energy security more as securing the fair energy price especially for households, but also for business. Unfortunately, Ukraine issue didn't help to pursue that path. Other reasons are the policy of Germany probably as well. But unfortunately, again, we are in the problem that we were hoping 5 years ago to be solved. Now, so what was said that Poland is going, I don't know if it was said clearly, but Poland, because this is something which opinion that I come across very often abroad, that Poland is planning to expand the coal or sustain or whatever. It is not the case. So in any government, any policymakers in Poland, no one says that the coal will be sustained in such form. To the contrary, it will decrease when you take into account the share of the coal in energy mix. But at the same time, you need to remember that the energy consumption in Poland is to grow, and quite rapidly. And as the idea of the government for the transformation of coal sector, the main sector, is to, of course, to remain the main source, but to reduce, first of all, to reduce employment. Second of all, increase the use of technologies, possibly in creation of which Polish industry have bigger stake in value chain. and basically to modernize the coal sector. Then the gas is also very promising source, and this is very important because this is an option for, I mean, so far I was, even a year ago, I was saying there is no option switch to gas in Poland, as long as there is no secure, cheap, affordable prices of gas for Poland, comparable to the Western Europe. You usually know that the prices, more you go to the east, closer to Russia, the prices of gas are higher. So this is paradox, but it is true. So important thing is that with the new perspective, unfortunately, invented rather in geopolitical framework, not in economic framework, there is option switch to gas, and so the faster transformation towards low emission is possible. Now I come last minute, right, because I speak very long. What is important about renewables is that no one believes in solar in Poland, apart, of course, from some of the organizations that deal with the photovoltaics. So on a small scale, yes, not on a big scale. Wind is expected to be rather offshore, if any, and that would be the probably so far it was the biggest hope for the lowering the emissions. And biomass, probably this is now the hot topic for the new government, and this is the option for increasing renewables, which again will increase in 2030, 2050 time frame. Nuclear, it was shortly mentioned. Nuclear is this June we will have decision of the government about about further proceeding. It is expected that it will be, to my knowledge, I'm not saying that I know everything, so some rumors says that it is going to be prolonged, the concept of developing nuclears. However, I would also not be very much surprised if the government doesn't decide to further this project, and then we can expect nuclear as soon as in 2030, not earlier, because so far the idea was that we would have nukes in 2020, then it was postponed by the previous government to 2025. So now the new term of election for the new party would make it postpone it for another 5 years, probably 4 years. The idea for the last probably comment, the idea so for the new transformation is also so it is interconnections in all of in electricity, but also in gas, in all possible ways, but also combined with the smart design of new markets that will go along with the technological and technical capacity progress. I guess I would speak again long, but maybe for now it's. Sorry, I didn't finally answer your question. So this is very interesting. Now, as you may also know, the energy system is state controlled. There are 4 big companies in Poland, which the energy producer and also distributors. And the state, in a recent congress that took place in Poland, probably the biggest congress devoted to industry and energy, I heard only some resume of the discussions. The idea of the new government is that essentially it would like to keep the control over the state-controlled, so far state-controlled companies, and so nothing like Energiewende will happen in shortly. And I mean this part of Energiewende, which is about prosumers, about communities of energy communities, of those small local communities. So as much as we hope that the local government and cities could push forward the low emission transition, it is not likely to become shortly a solution for, I don't know how to say energetyka zawodowa in English, but for the state-controlled energy system, which is currently in Poland. So I guess Andrzej for sure would agree that we care very much now, especially about local governments, and we collaborate with them a lot. The question is how the new government is not very supportive towards especially about the middle level of the self-government, powiaty. And I'm really hoping that it will be not worse than it is now. Probably cities especially cities, that is probably the last important thing. Why cities are important? For two reasons probably. You need to know that the heating sector is a very important sector in Poland. If we treat it as a part of power sector, heating sector, and especially district heating, is incomparable to any country in the EU, as far as I know, or maybe one or two have similar grids. So cities, through control over those power plants, have a major role to play. But probably even more important is the behavioral change can happen the fastest in the cities. So all those bottom-up initiatives are more likely to happen in cities. Just to give example, we for the last 1.5 years we conducted a research project on energy poverty, and so for the first year we were just also with inputs from with collaboration with INE, we developed very much similar methodology to assess the energy poverty as in Great Britain. So this I can develop later if you are interested. Anyway, for this year we planned already that this project will be developed in two ways. At the local and at the central level, as we were not very much sure how open the new government will be on the new ideas to tackle the problem, which is very local and needs often very innovative solutions. So that's why we rely also in the second our second hand we cooperate a lot with the local governments and cities. So I don't know if somehow I'll answer the question.
No, I think it's a brilliant overview. I've got a lot of questions. I sense that on the panel there is a desire to comment on one or two other things, but there are so many interested experts in the room that I would like to open now and have you put forward your questions, and then maybe the panelists can insert whatever they want to bring forward into the answers on those questions.
If we can.
Yes, or at least qualified opinions. Who would like to pose a question? Johanna? Shall we pass around?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, maybe also a quite general question, because we've heard that in Poland there are goals for 2020, so like in alliance with the 2020 goals of the European Union, but there are no 2030 goals when it comes to renewables. And I just wanted to hear your opinion as well on, I mean, we have 2016 now, whether you think that this discussion should need to start now, or whether you think that after 2020 there will be no goals anymore in Poland?
Should we collect maybe one or two others so that we get more voices in the room?
As I know, For Poland, the first thing is to have strategy for more than one term in parliament elections, for 3, 4, 5 times longer. Is there any light in the tunnel that it will be done? The strategy for 20 years, or 30 years, or even more? It's a question.
Good question to the politician. To
Corina?
the parliament.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. I'm Corina. I'm from Germany. Thank you for the very nice insight. I have a question regarding renewables as well. We heard a lot about nuclear, a lot about gas, a lot about coal. I'm really interested, what are the reasons, the main reasons against developing larger shares of renewables in Poland? Are there economic reasons? Are there more a question, is it a more question of mentality? Is the energy mix? Are there transmission grid issues? What are, in your opinion, working in the system, the main arguments against?
Okay, I will bring those forward. I think there was a strong emphasis on renewables more from the general points like Rina said, and then with regard to EU goals and policy making. And of course, the long-term strategy is directly related to such questions. Shall we just go around from? Yeah.
Maybe I can start with strategy because I think it's on the first. The question is that we have a lot of strategies, but the strategies, first of all, are decorated strategies, but not the strategies that really we want to follow. And the second, what I said, the strategies are politically driven and for the short run driven, not long run driven. That means it doesn't matter that will be the new strategy. I think there will be the same mistakes like was done in the former government that was presented in August. There was the draft strategy for year 2050. And first of all, it was the same direction there is today. I can say like this. Future need to be like today, but a little better. And this is the strategy. Or we can... and this document was very, very bad from the, I can say, from the real, if you're looking for the programming period, how you prepare this, that was one of the worst one I saw in my life. Now going to the renewables. Poland have the 15% of the renewables in year 2020. This is our goal that was set up in this energy and climate package. Today, I think it's close to 12. It's more a little than 11. But what is important, we done this generally by the co-firing. That means we are using the biomass and the hard coal in the power station, and we produce the electricity, which is for many experts is a disaster, especially that we are collect this biomass, for example, from the Malaysia or from the other faraway country. And unfortunately, the new law, which is today, there was the discussion in the parliament, is continue this strategy, and probably we can achieve this goal, 15%, but mainly it is the base of the co-firing. But interesting, we're using the green certificates, and this green certificates to help us with this co-firing, and the money is going to the big power stations. Not for the individuals, not for the small units, not for the small installations. That means this is the answer for your questions. That means on this mechanism, we want to support the big power stations, and we don't want to go beyond that we agree on the EU level, because it means that we need to decline the production of the coal. That is the one of the main reasons. If we're talking about year 2030, that is only the goal of the European level. This is minimum 27%, but it will not divide by the countries. And if I correctly remember, the Commission will be looking if we on this track to achieve this 27. If not, the Commission will be talking with the individual governments to go further. I think it's this strategy, because was not agreement between the countries about this goal. I don't know that I answered, but maybe I think.
Yeah. Very known in Poland professor, specialist of the energy. We know both Professor Popczyk says that the prognosis, especially consumption of the electricity, are in our country like are the business. If I give you some example, in the old energy strategy of Poland prepared in the 90s, it was a prognosis of the consumption of the energy for 2010 that we should consume over 200 terawatt hour. But in reality, the consumption was 145. Now we have the situation that the Minister of Energy of Poland say that the consumption grow over 25% in the next 10 years. But in Germany, in Energiewende, it is, you know the situation, that is 4.5% lower consumption in the 2015 with compare 2014. And prognosis for 2050 is minus 25% consumption of the energy. What was said by Andrzej? Energy intensity in our country is 2.5 bigger than in Germany. So we have really big reserves in this energy efficiency, but no real support, very cheap energy in this type of the energy intensity. And why the politician, we try to understand the politician in our country now, why they are against the renewable energy sources. Me as a geologist really involved many years, for example, in a coal mining sector. Why? Many years I tried to intensify, the exploitation of the coal bed methane. Now, Polish coal mines, excavated the methane from the coal seams and put to the air. Only a part is used for producing the energy. Okay. And the problem is, at the moment, surplus of the production of the hard coal is 12 million tons. So it was established a new big group, mining group, the biggest in Europe, 30,000 miners, but no liquidized and efficient mines or part of the mines. They still produce coal energy, steam coal, but the market don't need this. For example, many electropower stations pressed by a politician buying the coal from the mines and deposited at the electropower station, or still is lying at the coal mines. Now, 8 million tons. Yeah, okay. Sorry. And the politicians think, okay, for example, 2015, production of the electricity only from the wind turbines increased 39%. 39% plus. But during the last few years, the production of the electricity from coal and lignite decreased 3-4%. This is the official data from URE. And
Regulatory
agency. And the problem probably, this is my, my idea that the, for example, the political problem with miners and what to do if we increase production from renewable energy sources. Like in Germany, the last year, the production was 170 terawatts hour. This is bigger production than the total production of the electricity in Poland, only from photovoltaic and from the wind. And probably they're thinking in that way, because another way why they try to stop the wind turbines, the wind farms, and prosumers. On the local level, I was invited by a local self-government in some Polish regions. They absolutely voted for renewable energy sources. But this is completely different from the central government.
Thank you very much. So what could turn the Polish people around into liking solar? Because you said part of the problem is that they're just not interested.
Very interesting.
Mind of politicians.
And so we hear that the potentials would be there. We hear that the political will seems to be absent, and the people don't really want it yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't say people, I say politicians.
Okay. I heard you say that Polish are not interested in solar.
I'd say experts, energy experts, are rather negative towards solar as the least efficient among the in Poland, just because of the. Sorry, if I. So I'm not renewable energy expert. So, and I know Andrzej and Mr. Wilczyński have much different opinion on that. But I can tell you what I read in newspapers and like expert newspapers. So, the idea is that generally renewables for different if you look at the map where you have the wind strength across the Europe, or wind or solar exposition, you see that Poland is not. I mean, neither of those renewables sources are very much available in Poland. They are, but they are not so. We don't have wind as in northern country, northern western country. We don't have similar, yeah, except for wind in north, which is now the main source of energy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not possible at all. We have already solar and so on. I'm saying that according to many analyses that I've read, solar is the least efficient in Poland. Wind turbines are more efficient, and probably biomass, because of the large amount of forest that we have in Poland, probably are the good business for, especially for the new government to work on that. And we don't, of course, we import biomass from abroad, but mostly we are not the main country in the European Union which needs to import the biomass from South America or other countries around the world.
Microphone, please.
We should remember that one of the important points in the new regulation for renewables is actually stopping this craze of importing biomass from Malaysia, and they are working on a regulation on how to limit the distance from which the biomass can be sourced.
And I would like to come back to you, Mr. Bartosik, on when you think about your challenges of matching it all up, a big shift towards renewables. From your point of view, what would be the pros, cons, nightmares, dreams, long-term visions from the transmission operator?
I think generally what we miss now is the decision about general energy mix, and whatever decision should be taken. We can like energy in Germany or any other strategy, energy strategies in other countries, but let's say any decision would be better, I think, than no decision, in fact. And I agree with my colleagues here that there is no decision right now, and I hope that the paper we published on adequacy, I mentioned already some results, will give some thoughts to the politicians, and that something has to be done actually. And how the mix will be composed, I do not know. I'm not, in fact, looking at the politicians. I'm not very optimist about renewables for the future. But if you ask if we can handle German TSOs, somehow handle it. Of course, I mentioned already the unscheduled flows and some flows in the market and some too high subsidies and negative impact, distortive impact, in fact, on negative prices. There are negative prices in Germany. It's something, let's say, you do not have to be an energy expert to know that if energy price is negative, there is something wrong with that. And we have a situation like that in Germany. And just to give you an example, and can we imagine or not? On the last, I already mentioned the case, the last August the 10th, we have to shift down some consumption in Poland, about something like 3 gigawatts. Sorry, you mentioned that 300 megawatts in solar for that case would be sufficient. No, it would not be sufficient at all. You mentioned 3,000, yes, not 300. So the lack of
look for the Institute for Renewable Energy. They calculated.
The lack of reserves that day was about let's say between 2.5 and 3,000 gigawatt. But on that specific date, about to give you an example, there was almost generally in Poland there is no solar or very little solar, but there is still some sufficient, or not maybe as much as in Germany, but about I think right now there is 5,000 megawatts installed in wind farms. And that day, on that specific date, you guess how much was available from that source to which supported the adequacy from wind farms? 20 megawatts. 100 megawatts. 100 megawatts. So if you ask about how to create, and so we could rely as TSOs on 100 megawatts only on that specific day, when we had to curtail somehow the final final producer industry. In Poland, we were forced to do so. So because the rest are variable. Of course, if you so anybody who is let's say creating and who is preparing the energy mix should have and take this consideration, this feature of not stable wind production and not stable renewables or solar, which do not produce at night. Wind, usually it is coincidence, it's not coincidence, but typically when there are high temperatures on the winters, when a big, let's say, frost, there is no wind, and during night hours there is no solar. So I do not say that we, let's say, these sources should not be in the system. Of course they should be, but we should have it somehow backed up in sources which are, I'd say, stable production, which can be used for regulation and to properly balance the system. There is a challenge how to incorporate the renewables. For sure we could manage some amounts of renewables, and till some extent, but clear rules, of course, should be created if what to do if there is no wind, what to do if there is no solar, and what to do if there is too much wind in the wind production in the system, and how to manage the system not to run in a stable way.
With an eye on the clock, maybe we can just collect very brief, your most cooking questions now, and then have a very quick round up here, and then we will have to continue discussion over snacks and drinks. Everyone really try to be ambitiously short, please.
Timon Wehner from the Wuppertal Institute in Berlin. Thank you very much for your insights. I've learned over the last 2 days many things about Poland, more than I ever dreamed of learning in such a short time. And I don't know, in a way I'm a very European thinking person, that I like the European idea, and I like I see a lot of differences between the German and Polish approach in the energy system, and I'm looking for, I don't know, common future things. So my question to you is, if you consider me or us to be people who are going, not all of us, but part of the group, going back to our home countries, and a lot of us going back to Germany, and consider us as ambassadors, what is a message you would like to give us to take home with, to, if we engage again in discussions in Germany? And of course I'm not Chancellor Merkel or Minister Gabriel, who would probably have more impact if you give a message to him or her, but even I could maybe tweak in some things into German discussions. What would you like to use me for as your personal ambassador?
Very difficult question.
It was the one I was going to ask you, so he's my colleague. Maybe that's why. Thank you, Timon. Can we have 2 more very brief? Oh.
Yeah. Only one thing, which could be the main coefficient if in summer will be so dry as in spring. It could be lack of water to make turbines colder.
Yeah.
That's one more thing. Could be the best in, for example, August.
This is absolutely the key problem in August 2015.
It was, but in this year it could be much bigger.
Can we just bring in the others, and then we just, unfortunately, you kind of pinch your main messages now and then take them to cocktails.
Yeah, thank you very much for your insights. My name is Andrzej Ceglarz from Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, and I have a question specifically to Mr. Bartosik, and I would like to follow up what you have said and you mentioned at the beginning of your speech, is actually this, that your company, TSO, is the actor which is going to tackle with a lot of issues and a lot of problems and a lot of challenges. But I believe since there is a one only TSO in Poland, you must be invited to the governmental or the, at least decision makers speeches or discussions about this future strategy, future energy policy. So what is the official position of the TSO regarding the Polish energy policy till 2050? Thank you.
Karina and Johanna?
Yeah, short follow-up question also for Mr. Bartosik. You said you could deal with higher shares of renewables in your system. Would you be able to estimate what that share might be, up until what value you'd be able to go or would like to go?
Don't give any numbers.
But that maybe also relates to my question, or maybe like a question for a statement. What you said that you need decisions, or there should be some decisions in Poland. What would be, if you would be in power, what would be your most important decision that you would make for the energy future in Poland?
Hooray! Now we've got one very specific question for you, Mr. Bartosik, to start with, and then all of you get to solve the world, first in Poland, then how we can help you do that, come around in 1 minute each. Deal? Brilliant.
Oh, here are very many questions, in fact, to the TSOs. Renewables in Poland first. Maybe There is no one simple answer for that question. Of course, it's very tricky. As I mentioned, German TSOs can live with much higher, let's say, volumes of electricity installed in renewables than it is in Poland. But I would say, I not want to repeat myself, but we and other TSOs and countries suffer from this phenomenon. For unscheduled flows, there is big renewables in north, and it flows through our system. We cannot neither, let's say, import it. So fair conditions would be fine in Europe for tackle this issue, because it's not I would say in equal treatment. So the issue should be solved, because I can live with, let's say, 100% of renewables installed and use other TSOs network just not taking care of it. It's not fair, yeah. So generally, the issue is to be solved. What about Poland? In Poland, I think we even right now, if you have 5,000, there happens such situation that according to network operation safety rules, there are some windy days. Even with that, we had to, let's say, reduce at when there is a low demand for instance, weekends and night. We had to a bit reduce production in renewables to keep the network secure, because of the, let's say, also because it's not only the size of amounts of renewables, but also locations are important. Let's say, so to keep the network secure, we had to, in specific days, reduce the renewables right now, even if we have 5,000 in production. But of course, if there are clear rules how to do it, how to curtail the renewables, and for example, if it is for network stability reasons, we have to reduce the renewables, let's say, and we do not have to pay in specific cases, or have to pay and we have to remunerate it somehow, it is incorporated into the scheme, we could, let's say, do it, let's say, somehow, if there are money to be paid for curtailments, for example. So, about the, I maybe answer the question about the August and hot water. You know, it's very, right now we do not know what will be in August. We made our homework as TSOs, we believe so, and we did all we could as TSOs to prevent the situation. We made some, let's say, took some contracts for another contracts for supportive energy, make some preparedness. We had our discussion with power plants and etc. So we did some homework and believe it will not happen again this August. However, in the future, we have to do something, as you saw my charts as regards adequacy. Common future of Poland and let's say and Germany. I think that Germany it would be, let's say, we have to look at adequacy issues in long term. We have right now missing money problems for standard conventional power plants. It's not that fact that they are not necessary, because we are happy with renewables, 100 renewables installed. As I mentioned, we had the situation in summer. There are, let's say, periods when there is no wind or there is no solar, and we have to have sources and installed capacity and some mechanisms which can support us when renewables do not produce, and stable network stability in different periods. We have to remember that. That's why maybe in Polish, let's say, Polish government, politicians are so keen on that. And if there are negative prices, like today is right now in Germany, you know, the final households have very high electricity prices in Germany, and the energy price is sometimes negative. So everything is being paid through, let's say, somehow aside mechanisms, and the final price is you know, is very high. But negative prices as regards, let's say, what is competition? You mentioned about competition. We have today discussing about competition. What is the competitive element? Competitive element is only the energy price. So if a negative price is in Germany and the mechanism is not similar in Poland, the energy prices are higher. So the energy flows from the cheap energy area to the higher energy area, but it does not mean that everything is fine in that mechanism, because in Poland there is not such a remuneration scheme and for renewables, and the situation kills in fact the I would say standard stable power plants, which are in fact necessary to run the system in a secure way in a longer term. If those sources do not produce, they do not earn money. If they do not earn money, they take decisions to withdraw. If they withdraw and there is no wind and there is no solar, one day we all have problems, not only in Poland, but the systems are incorporated. If Poland is one day disconnected due to, I don't know, unscheduled flows or any critical situations, there is the domino effect, and the whole Europe might be flow. So we have to pay attention and we have to care about it, not just have in mind one goal to increase the number of renewables, but have it all in balance. Thank you.
So is that, just to come back to Andre's question, is that your PSE's bargaining position for what is the decision that should be taken in Poland now?
You know, we are, of course, as a TSO, as only TSO in Poland, we are discussing, somehow advising government, but rather from what I already mentioned. We do the prognosis of adequacy. We discuss with energy producer and we see their plans. So we make power balances and we show politicians the problems of the system and show the situation, what will be next year. We advise them how to do it, and it is up to them, I think, what decisions to be taken, because finally the costs have to be covered through tariffs in energy prices and to be shifted on final customers. It is in fact their decision. We advise them from technical point of view. Of course, if you ask, let's say, from technical point of view, for TSO, I think not only for PSE but for any TSOs, it would be more comfortable to have conventional production units and to have stable production and to be able to operate, have in system sources operate in a stable way. But it's, of course, it is just theoretical. It would be, let's say, from technical point of view, to run the system, it would be better, but it does not mean that we are, let's say, against some amount and reasonable amounts of renewables energy and violate energy. Yeah, that reasonable means to be able to operate the system in a stable way, both in short, medium, and long term, because we cannot only look at today or tomorrow, and we should not be happy just because we have a very low energy price as one component of the total energy bill, because on my presentation I was not able to show there are countries when energy price, so the one competitive element between countries which is traded on power exchanges, on which is shifted influence energy flows across Europe. In one country it is on the final energy bill it is only 20%. So the rest are all the additions for taxes and support schemes. In other countries it is 70%. Yeah. No. So how to then compete, and all the sources we need in power system. So I do not. It's not easy to answer very answer the question. But really, we are not against. We would like to have powers in the. We can have all the sources in the system, but we would like to have sufficient surplus. So to cover the peak demand and have sufficient amount of reserves to be able to run the system. That's in any single hour, because normally energy cannot be stored in large amounts. We can have magazines, but the technology right now is not sufficiently well developed to store it. So from TSO point of view, to cover peak demand and reserves, that's it, and we can run the system.
So that is the prime thing for Poland, and energy, or German ambassador to Germany, sort your own stuff out and then we can talk again. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. I would like to pass over to the geologist, maybe.
Yeah, very short.
The final two messages.
Really, I don't know what to answer on your very good question, because even me, many years, I am involved in the problem of the fuel reserves and the energy consumption, etc. In that moment, I don't know really, because first of all, the reasonable production cost of the electricity, you know very well, Mr. Bartosik, that around 10,000 megawatts installed capacity is over 50 years old and work with efficiency even below 30%. So the consumption, I can give you, I have studied the last month the good example, ZEPAC, the corporation, energy corporation on the lignite worked their free electropower station. The production cost in that case, when the efficiency of the production of the electricity, you know, for example, they use close to 2 tons of the lignite for produce 1 megawatt hour. So, but 1 ton of the lignite, the production cost of the lignite is 85 zlotych. In that, only the fuel cost 170 zlotych per megawatt hour. But on the competitive market, they can sell electricity per 165 in the past year. And they have problem. And when I participated in the Commission of the Energy with the presence of the minister responsible for energy security, Mr. Naimski, I said two problems I presented. One is a balance of the surface water in Poland and the August situation, not only the problem with the block in Bełchatów, but in Vistula River, at the Vistula River, we have 2 big power stations. Yeah, okay. And flow in that time in the Vistula River was 120,000 cubic meters per hour. But the consumption of the water was over 300,000 cubic meters. And even Mr. Naimski said, you have the reason about the problem of the balance of the water, and we afraid that we have the same problem in this year. Why? Because no snowing in this winter was. And this is the key point for reserves of the surface water. So, and if the production cost of the electricity in Poland in such updated blocks is very high, only one reason is to isolate the Polish energy market from the cheaper energy.
Is that your one question for? I have to cut you into the one question or one desire for,
okay.
And we'll have more time over there.
Good.
Is that the one thing for Poland, or the one thing for us to take home as ambassadors? We'll do that over cocktail. Okay.
Try to answer for your questions is to build the better relations by business, NGO, communities, churches, to deliver the real information what is going in the Poland via this, you know, out of the government, out of the politician, you know, communication. This is my answer for your questions. I feel that in year 2050, the best solution for Poland will be the very high energy efficiency, 50–60% of renewables, including the, you know, offshore, which can be the 10,000, and it's a much more, you know, stable than the wind of the land. And for me, the backup, because it's this time, we need still the backup, but in the future probably we will not need the backup, need to be the gas. Yeah. And I think that the role of your company will be declining. If we have the chance for the procurement and we can build the local security, the national security will be declining. We put these hands to the Polish citizens. There will be some kind what is called the energy democracy. But my dream, it is something that unfortunately was stopped from the geopolitical. Maybe some of you know the project what was called Desertec. Desertec, it means, you know, the 100% of renewables in Europe, and in one area you have the wind, in one area you have sun, in another area you have the produce on the seas, or from the sea, from the tide, and etc. This is my dream for the future, to this kind of the solution, but it needs to be the political stability.
Thank you. Final words to you, Mr. Spohr, on your wishes for that Energy 2050.
This time very shortly, I try at least. Okay, if you meet Angela Merkel, for me, this is or someone close to at least. I'll be here, I'll be quite bold and maybe, yeah. That basically, I would say don't give up Ukraine for Energiewende. Don't give up democratic values of the European Union for the values of greater good in the future, of certainly important values of sustainability, and because this is kind of original sin that we may commit so far, that may come to us. So this is very short. And as for the recommendation for if I would be in the government now, probably the one thing that I would do is to invest in new technologies, in new sources of energy, in technologies in new and using new sources of energy, including both renewables and non-renewable, but not coal. And this would be to avoid any lock-ins that the current government is not fully aware, probably that are and will be. And so certainly technological transformation, and to be brief.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much, esteemed panelists. Thank you all for bearing with us for half an hour longer than we thought. I think it is the risk you run into when you invite people that could easily talk for an hour or two each, just out of anecdotal wisdom and collected experience and expertise. We can continue those conversations over snacks and drinks out there, and I welcome us all for the casual end of this evening. Thank you very, very much for being here.